Welcome back to Cards and Comics, guys. Today I have another 90s insert set review. Should be a little bit quicker than normal because the set's pretty small. So the set we're going to review today is the 1995 Fleer Ultra Power Plus set. Now, as a kid, I did buy this product. I bought this set. These cards were hard to get. They were 1 in 37. However, I'm not reviewing the actual Power Plus set. I'm reviewing the Gold Medallion version, which is 1 in 370 stated print run. We'll talk about that a little bit. So this is one of the earlier card sets that did insert parallels. And it's so common now to see an insert that has a parallel that we don't really think much of it. I mean, think about like the Man and then the Man Refractor. That's an insert with an insert parallel. Like, it's so common to think about inserts now having parallels. Back in the original, insert mania, a lot of inserts like Donruss Elite just had the Donruss Elite. That was cool enough for everyone. But then as things got more and more competitive, people started die cutting, canvassing, refractoring the inserts. But really, 1995 was pretty early on. I don't know if it's the first set to do it, but it's a really early adoption of an idea of a parallel as an insert. Not a base parallel. I mean, these are not base cards. This is an insert. So let's go through the set. It's only 6 cards, which does hurt the overall score that we'll go through. Card number 1, we've got Albert Bell. Card number 2, we've got Ken Griffey Jr. Obviously, the premium card in the set. Here's what the backs look like. So, very common Ultra background. Going through card designs now, you can just see this is like just a texture someone did in like a Photoshop or something. It looked cool back then. But yeah, nowadays I'm like, oh, that's not the coolest looking. I'm trying to get it so we don't get all glary. Next up, Frank Thomas. So you can kind of see some pretty good player selection. We'll talk about that player selection. Number 4, we got Jeff Bagwell, another Hall of Famer. Number 5, we've got Barry Bonds, again, another high tier Hall of Famer. And last but not least, Matt Williams. So, it's 6 cards. Design wise, we'll talk about it. It's etched foil. It's not the first time they used etched foil. I believe they used it on the Rising Stars and the RBI Leaders cards in '94 as well. Ultra did have this kind of technology. You got to remember, they didn't have chrome. They didn't have acetates as often back in this day. No refractors. So this technology, this kind of etched foil, was kind of their signature technology that they used in a lot of sets. Then they went to crazy die cuts with the hitting machines. So, it's an evolution. I do like this design a lot. I do like the color. And the thing that's interesting is, and I don't know if anyone studied this, because I know in basketball there was like a similar set. They looked at this color foil. But so if we go through the color foil, so the Matt Williams here has got pink, then goes to purple and blue. The Bond starts with yellow and then goes down. The Bagwell starts with green and goes down. The Frank Thomas starts with yellow and go down. The Griffey starts with orange and goes down to red. And you've got kind of purplish pink here on the Bell. So I know, I haven't looked to see if you can get these cards with different color backgrounds, like color combination backgrounds. Because, I think there is a basketball set that has something like this. Maybe it's the Soul of the Game. I think Soul of the Game, right? The set here has I think different foil color combinations. I don't know if that's true for the Power Plus, but it, could be theoretical. I don't know. But it is a cool way for doing this. It's very colorful. It reminds me of Soul of the Game and how they've got that different color foil and an etched background. It's a pretty good design. So when I look at rating this set, I'll first talk about player selection. Only 6 players, but you do have the Thomas, the Bonds, and the Griffey. So I can't give it like a really high rating because it's just only 6 cards. But you get 3 of the 4, like I talk about, to get a high score, you got to have all 4, which include Jeter. But you got 3 of the 4. But there's only 6 cards. So I'm going to give it a 6. A 6 on player selection. I just feel like if this was a 10-card set and you had a few more players in here, that would have put it a little bit more over the top. But with just 6 cards, it's just not enough players, in my opinion, for a set that's cool. I mean, I don't know why they did 6 cards. They could have done 10. It would have been fun to have all 10. Next up is rarity. So let's talk about rarity. All right, I just mentioned that these are, the regular sets, 1 per box. This is 1 per 10 boxes. That's the stated print run. However, if you look at completed auction sold and you look at even pop counts, I don't think that lines up with a 10x rarity. And this has been something about these gold medallions that's bothered me ever since it came out, was it just appears there's too many of them for that rarity. 1 per 10 boxes is like 1 per case. And then you look at eBay sold items, they're like 7 or 8 Griffies, sold. In a lot of cases from the 90s, you don't see that. You don't see cards like that very often. So unless this was a tremendous print run, like that just there was, because you think about, okay, if there was 1,000 of these made, so then there would be 6,000 cards printed, like of each player, and then that would correlate to 60,000 boxes made. I mean, you could say, okay, well, that might be true. These could be out of 1,000, 60,000 boxes, could be true. Because again, 1 in 10 boxes, 6,000 cards printed. So 1,000 cards isn't really that rare. For the 90s, early 90s, it's rare, but in the big scope of things, maybe it's not as rare, as later cards, but I just feel like it seems like maybe that 1 in 10 or that 10x isn't really true, or maybe it's just a loose estimate, like maybe it's closer to 8x or something. I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot of them sold for this stated rarity. So on rarity, I'm giving it a 6. I'm giving it a little bit of a benefit of a doubt, but like I just did some simple math for you, that since there's only 6 cards in the set, even if the print run is low or high, either way, it just means that they didn't have to print as many to get that ratio. If there was 20 cards in the set, that would lower the overall print run for each card. So that's just sort of how I'm looking at it. So I give it a 6. Design wise, we looked at it, and again, I in past sets I've said you need multiple technologies to get a super high score. So here we've got the edge foil and we got the color foil, but that's it. We got the gold stamp of the medallion right here. That's just a little bit premium. So overall, it's not a negative, design. It's not like below a 5, but I'm going to give it a 6 on design because again, it doesn't have, like if this was die cut or there was something, a little shinier about the background or something else to go along with it. Because later on we had base cards that kind of looked like this, Metal Universe. So, for the time period, I guess you can give it definitely better looking cards than a lot of other Ultra inserts at this time period. But, looking at it today, I still give it, just a little bit above average in a 6. We talked about value. You can get a Gold Medallion Griffey PSA 8 between $20 and $30. And to me, that just shows you, when I talk about rarity, going back to that question is, if these were super hard to get and just really tough, the cards would sell for more money, for one thing. But if you do see these cards for sale, they are condition sensitive. So I've seen 9s of just like Matt Williams, I think, sold for like 40 or $50. So a 10 Griffey would sell really well, but that's just because of condition sensitivity. And it's very rare to find cards in 9 or 10 shape. That doesn't mean the cards are really rare. So value wise, when you look at like raw copies of these cards, they don't sell that well. In fact, I got this out for like $100. So that's like $15 a card, raw. So again, they're not super expensive, which for value collectors, this is a fun set because it's actually affordable, and it's actually with a few cards you can put together. Again, I bought it completed like this, raw, for like $100. So, it is, from a value perspective, it's not an expensive set, but in a PSA 9 or 10, the cards will sell much higher because of that condition, sensitivity, and rarity. I gave value a 4 because it's just not a strong seller in raw form. Like, you can get take like a hitting machine raw. It'll sell really good raw, and it'll sell really good, graded. This will only sell really good if it's high grade because of that condition sensitivity. So overall, let's go to bonus. Like, is there anything about this set that I gave it a little bit bonus? And I did give it a 2 on bonus because of the fact it's a very early insert parallel. Because in 94, they didn't do the Gold Medallion one, is a 10x rarity. In 95, they did do that. They went nuts with it in 96. So you get a lot of great designs in 96 that have that 10x as well. This is kind of their foray into it with this product here. And this is the hardest to get insert, I think, in Series 1. So this is kind of like their big, all-in insert that they wanted people to chase, was a set here. So for that perspective, I give it a 2 because, again, it's a very early adopter of that insert parallel. So overall grade, or score, it's a 24. Kind of on the lower end, and I'm going to put together for the next video I do all the sets I've rated in the rating so far, so we can create our spectrum. Now that we've done enough sets, I can kind of put them in order and give an idea of like how everyone's ranking, and then we can kind of put the next set and this set into some sort of reference or baseline compared to other sets. So I've done enough sets now I can do that, and we'll go ahead and put that for the next video. But hope you enjoyed it. And overall, from my perspective, how I like this set, I mean, obviously I went and bought it because I enjoyed it. It's something I remember as a kid. I do think, it reminds me a little bit of Soul of the Game. I do like the etching and all that. So I enjoy the set. It's just not as big of a challenge. It's not hard to put together. There's only 6 cards. It's really not that expensive. So it's just kind of a fun set to put together, but it's not, it's not like a card you have to have. If you're a Griffey collector, it's not like you're dying because you don't have this card. Like the Hitting Machines Gold Medallion, people love that card and they'll pay a lot of money for it. That's not true for this card. So that's just sort of how I look at it. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.